Imagine your wife is hiding behind the furniture watching you. It starts out as a joke but then it turns terrifying. My wife Lynn and I have been together for 6 years. We were married for about 11 months before things got weird. Lynn has always been a very normal person. She is kind, intelligent, and very level-headed. She isn't the type of person to play pranks. She doesn't even like watching horror movies. Once we tried watching one together. She was so scared she couldn't finish it. She has never had any issues with her mental health. There is nothing in her family history that suggests anything unusual. This behavior is completely out of character for her. It started 2 months ago on a regular morning. I was making coffee before heading to work. I was running late that day. I walked toward the front door with my cup. Suddenly, I saw something very strange. Lynn was peeking at me from around the corner. I could only see her eyes and a strand of hair. She was partially hidden behind the wall. I nearly spilled my coffee on myself. It burned my lip as I jumped back. I yelled out that she scared me. She popped out of view like a startled child. I heard her scurry away into the living room. I laughed it off at the time. I called her a weirdo and told her I loved her. I heard her laughing from the other room. It felt like a harmless, goofy prank. Life went on as normal for several days. Then something much stranger happened 3 nights later. It was around 2 in the morning. I got up to get a drink of juice. I stood at the kitchen island in the dark. Suddenly, I felt the sensation of being watched. I looked down at the floor near my feet. Lynn's face was staring back up at me. She was peeking from behind the kitchen island. Her eyes were wide and unblinking. She was grinning like a creepy character in a movie. I actually screamed out of pure fear. At the sound of my voice, she bolted. She scrambled backward across the floor on all fours. Her hands and feet hit the tile with loud thuds. She vanished into the shadows instantly. I stood there frozen in total shock. I eventually went upstairs to check on her. She was lying in bed pretending to be asleep. I watched her breathing for a long time. I was afraid she would jump at me. But she stayed perfectly still. The next morning, I decided to ask her about it. I tried to keep my voice light and friendly. I pointed to the spot by the kitchen island. I asked what she was doing there last night. She looked at the floor and then at me. She burst out laughing so hard we both laughed. She told me that I creep her out sometimes. We joked about it and went to work. But as I drove, I felt uneasy. The image of her grinning from the floor stayed with me. It did not feel like a normal joke anymore. Then, she started peeking at me more often. She would hide behind the couch or the curtains. Once, she even hid inside an old wooden trunk. I heard the hinges creak when I walked by. Her face was half hidden in the lid of it. She looked like a toddler seeking attention. When I asked her why she was doing it, she stayed silent. She simply closed the lid and stayed inside. It made me feel deeply uncomfortable. For 2 weeks, she stopped the behavior entirely. I thought she had finally moved on from the game. One night we were watching a show together. I joked that she had given up on her spying. She smiled at me with a tiny grin. She said, "Maybe I've just gotten better at it." Her words chilled me to my bones. I started to feel paranoid in my own home. I felt like I was being watched constantly. I began checking corners and behind doors. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then, things took a turn into something truly dark. Lynn went to a friend's house for the evening. I stayed home alone to play some games. Around 9 o'clock, I went to take a shower. As I washed the soap from my hair, I froze. That same sickening feeling of being watched hit me. I opened my eyes and nearly had a heart attack. Lynn was peeking from behind the shower curtain. Her head was poked through into the stall. Her body remained on the other side. Her long hair hung against the plastic. She had a wide, horrific grin on her face. Her eyes were red as if she hadn't blinked for hours. There was makeup running down her cheeks in streaks. She looked completely deranged and lost her mind. I screamed and jumped back against the wall. We stood in total silence for several seconds. Finally, she pulled her head back out of the curtain. I watched her blurry shape move toward the door. A second later, the bathroom door slammed shut. It was hard enough to shake the mirror frame. I scrambled out of the shower and locked the door. I stayed inside the bathroom for over an hour. I told myself it had to be some joke. But my heart wouldn't stop racing from the fear. I was terrified of what she might do next. Eventually, I heard a muffled sound from outside. I pressed my ear against the heavy wooden door. I imagined her standing there, laughing at me. I felt a surge of intense anger and fear. I could not take being scared in my own home anymore. Whether it was a joke or something else, it stopped. I took a deep breath and opened the door. I finally yelled out to her. "What are you doing, Lynn?" She stood there in the hallway, looking at me. The silence that followed was the heaviest thing I ever felt. When she finally spoke, her voice didn't sound like hers. It was hollow and strange. She told me she wasn't playing a game at all. She said she had been practicing for a long time. She told me she just wanted to see how far it went. She wouldn't explain what it actually was. I sat her down and demanded the truth. She started crying and told me she felt like she wasn't herself. She said there were voices telling her to hide. She claimed she didn't know why she wanted to peek. She just knew that the shadows were telling her to do it. I realized then that my wife was in deep trouble. The game had been a symptom of something much worse. Now, we have to figure out how to help her. My life changed in that moment behind that door. I don't know if she is still the woman I married. Every time she smiles now, I look for the truth. Is she still there, or is someone else taking over? The house feels different now that the secret is out. I have to stay strong for her every single day. But I can never unsee what happened in that shower. I can't stop thinking about those red eyes and that grin. It haunts my dreams every time I close my eyes. The question remains, was she ever truly there to begin with? Or has something else been living in our house all along? I just want my wife back from the shadows. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Would you stay and help her or run away?